I just can't catch a break today. Tomorrow's probably going to be better. But yeah, I just recorded a video going over a email that I thought was noteworthy, and I thought that I had set things up properly with my new mic setup, which I also explained in that video. I don't feel like explaining it right now, but I thought everything was fine, and the video started out fine. Then when I transitioned over to the screen capture with that email, audio cuts out. The audio is completely lost. I'll have to re-record. So, yeah. I've already had a crappy day, and that just made it worse. I mean, the problem with re-recording is that a lot of times I just turn on the webcam and I start talking. And so everything is more or less off the cuff, except for sometimes with, notes that I've prepared or some such, but yeah, and so if I have to go around and do it a second time, it's just not the same into it, same feeling into it, so I'm probably going to just record that in the morning, if at all. So in the meantime, because I did say that I was going to be uploading a video tonight, there's another one that's been rolling around in my notes for some time because I have this little box here that has mostly convention memories. Now, I wanted to do this in a lighter area at a better time of day, but that's just simply not going to happen. And at this time of night, I try to keep the light off when I'm doing certain things, and I'm not going to elaborate as to why. But, so we're going to do a little interesting thing here because I have a little box. This used to be a pencil case, but it's no mystery as to why I would have something like this. But I have this box full of mostly state meeting and convention badges, but I'll elaborate on some of this here in a little bit. So there's a couple here already on my desk for other reasons, and there's one on my wall. And the one on my wall is how it's holding up a couple things, and it's just sort of there, and I don't want to take it down and then have to put it back. So I'm going to start with that one. So I took a good photo of it, at least what I thought was good, and I'll just transition over to that first. See, this is on the wall right behind the monitor in which I'm looking at right now. This is the badge from the Chalice meeting that I had, and so that was going to be part of this video, and so I'm just putting it here. This badge right here is it's a collection of memories from that meeting. That's what that is to me. That's the culmination of a lot of work with a lot of people to do something very right. Because, it's just not that much of a win. It's not much of an accomplishment if you don't put the effort into it. Well, I put the effort into dues accountability, and not only that, but I had some things riding on it, and people were depending on me. And plus, the Chalice meeting was at a really good location, and had some good times with some good people, some friends up there, and so that particular one, and you'll notice right there, there's two colored pieces of paper right behind this, and those are right behind that because not in meetings not long after the Chalice meeting, there were I guess I should go back. Some time ago, the Ada County Republican Secretary, one Colette Costello, I've already said a lot of very effusive things about her, and she started doing the smart thing where because we already knew that votes were being messed with and votes were being tried to being messed with, and the whole proxy system was just messed up. So one of the things that she tried to curb a lot of the chicanery with that, because she's definitely smarter than me. She started giving out little squares of paper that were all colored a certain way, but the color would change from meeting to meeting. And so the opposition, who we know were trying to circumvent the security feature of the colored paper, they weren't able to inflate their vote totals. And so because of the colored papers, things immediately started turning a more conservative direction because that whole system could not be manipulated. And so one of those, I think it was the orange one. Yeah, it was the orange one that came first, I think. And that one had to do with, I forget exactly what the vote was, but it was a bit of needed business, but it was also kind of symbolic where if it succeeded, we knew that the administration of the time did not enjoy support of the majority. Then that mean that a lot of us who were banding together, we were actually getting traction. So that's what that orange memory is right there. The pink one is just like right after the Chalice meeting. I forget exactly what the vote was. Oh yeah, it was for removal of the proxy language. There was a vote. There was a vote that we had to have on that because, well, proxies were no longer compatible with the state rules, and so we had to remove that from our bylaws. And that's what that pink one is in there, right in there, because it's still the same system, but she changed the color of the papers so they couldn't. And and the thing is that nobody knew what the color of the papers were until they got there to the meeting, and it would change. So yeah, the pink one was that month we were removing the proxy language from the bylaws because it was no longer legal. It was no longer compatible with the state rules. So those are the very cherished memories with those. So I'm going to transition back to just the webcam here. Okay. Wait, hold up. I'm going to look at the view. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, we're fine. So, the next... See, I have to do this with a flashlight now. The next one, and I think this is just on the top of the box here, was my credential, well, the badge from, some of these are just badges, some of these are credentials, but this, as it says, this is the one from the winter meeting, in which a lot of good things continued to happen for the Idaho Republican Party, and took care of all, and so took care of a lot of stuff. Personally, the items that I brought to that meeting, those sucked. They not everybody was into what I was trying to do, which I'm not gonna hold any hard feelings on, but there were some good things, and I think I described some of the business on that video that I talked about with the new problem with Trent Clark. I think in that video I talked a little bit about what was going on with the winter meeting, but a lot of good things coming from other people made it through and made the and made it all the way through the business by lunchtime, and so I got to yuck it up a lot more with a lot of people, which was nice. Having also talking with an unencumbered state chair is also a good thing, and it's a rare thing to happen. when, because, there's a lot of responsibility on a state chair's shoulders. So next one near to the top is my convention credential from the 2016 convention. This is the first convention credential that I ever got. And it looks like this on the front. It's got a lanyard, black corded rope lanyard kind of thing, and 3 stickers on the back. And I did not know that this was being paid for back when someone helped. I might have mentioned who already, but I won't mention it directly. But when my convention registration was paid for, as because I just gotten elected to be part of the District 17 delegation for the first time. They had actually paid for the expensive luncheon that's usually run by, well, expensive may be the wrong word. It's just that a lot of times you may not actually want to pay for the luncheon that's in. And it's usually run by the Idaho Republican Women, or one of those. And it's usually actually a very good lunch. Don't get me wrong. It's just sometimes, you may not be feeling it that convention, Sometimes you are, and so I didn't know, but yeah, I just tried to get in anyway, because I'm an idiot. And they took a look at the back and said, "Oh yeah, you paid for it. Yeah, go on in." Okay. So and the 2016 convention, that was an interesting one. I learned a lot of things, and I had to learn them very quickly. I was at the Ford, Idaho Center. Yeah, that's Steve Yates was commanding at the time, and I got to see and do some rude things. I guess I'll say. The convention at the resolutions meeting at that convention was interesting, and also got to do a interesting photo where my friend Ryan, he was sitting just across from me, but in the lineup, because it's almost like an eclipse thing that where Ryan is closer to me, and then almost in the direct line of sight behind him a ways is one Butch Otter. If you know anything about Ryan and me, and then Butch Otter, we hate, there were some memes made just from that photo. But yeah, that's one of the things that I have in my little badge box. Now, the next thing, oh, this isn't even a badge. This is a note that I wrote to myself going into the Pocatello convention, and it's just here. That's all it is. It's where the state meetings and conventions were for the previous few years, and and I know why I wrote that note. I'm gonna keep it in there for memories anyway. I know why I wrote that note to myself, because at the time the rules of the convention were that the convention could not be in the same region, like 2 conventions in a row or something like that. It couldn't be like, or if the summer meeting was one in the past 5 previous years, you couldn't have it in that region either, or something like that. It's changed a bit since then, and it was kind of a good thing, because we started getting into this impossible situation, and this happened not long after 2018 too. It got to this impossible situation where nobody from the only allowed regions wanted to actually do it. And so we had to change that. Now, this is just a receipt. Now, this is a receipt from a little convenience store on the way back from the last convention in Twin Falls. And I forget exactly why I put it in there, but it has to do with a little memory that Tom and I had. We were talking about certain things and just recounting the whole thing among ourselves, and we got some things while we were there at that little store. I think it said it was in Buell. Yeah, Buell, on the way back from Twin Falls. Now, let's see. Next one up on the pile. This one is the 2020. Now, that mark means something right there. I'm forgetting exactly what, but this is from the 2020 convention, where, again, I was chairman of that delegation. The other two delegates were one Dan Minert and Matthew Clements. I've said things about both of them in times since, obviously, but yeah. The 2020 one was interesting because we were trying to do a social distancing thing, but still have a convention. I was trying to have a convention runoff system that totally failed because we still have these problems where the establishment will try to do a spoiler candidate and split the conservative vote, and so that's why establishment candidates keep getting through, is because the conservative vote is always split. And so that was a thing. That's a memory behind this getting spanked in both the resolutions and rules committees. I said a lot of really unkind things about the rules committee too. Yeah, and also this was the this was the convention where Tom and I, for the lunch break in the first general session, we went out to some establishment in Nampa there, where Tom knew. I think it was like his branch president at the time or something, and they were doing some kind of churrasco or whatever type of grilled meat that's of Brazilian origin or something. That was good food, and that's so we didn't do that. Oh yeah, Tracy Kalish and Victor Miller tried to bully me into deleting a comment while at the convention too. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that didn't actually go well because all I did was just tell the truth. Oh yeah, all I did was just tell the truth about Ed Humphreys too. Yeah, that was yeah. Interesting how the stories of those three went together after that. Yeah, so those are some convention memories there. Now, see the next one in next one on the pile is my credential from the 2018 convention. So that one I have fond memories of because we were able to get one of those student apartments for like 20 bucks a night. We needed it for like a few nights there because of the convention. It was there at Holt Arena there on ISU campus, and I remember a lot of good things out of that one. And that was the year that I had really started a lot of friendships with a lot of people in the state party and from across the state. I remember that one very fondly. And plus, Pocatello itself was very good to us in the party. So, yeah, the good memories. That was the year that I started the "Is that Bjorn" meme. I have since discontinued that meme, but yeah, that was a thing because Tom and I had already checked into our room, and I see Bjorn driving into the parking lot, and I'm not entirely sure if it's Bjorn. And so he gets out, and then I see that it is in fact Bjorn. Bjorn Handine, and those of you who are in the party, you know who that is. And so I kept on repeating the phrase, "Is that Bjorn? Is that Bjorn?" And he just looks up and he doesn't know who's talking to him or whatever. He just drove in from North Idaho himself, and this is all the way the heck out in Pocatello in East Idaho, and oh yeah, that was the convention, and I had just got this credential where they had a Pac-Man machine in their student union building. So I had issued a challenge to all delegates, to get a higher score on Pac-Man than I did. And that was a really strange thing because I knew that there were some Pac-Man enthusiasts who were also delegates who were there, but that didn't. That ended up not being a thing. And oh yeah, getting credentialed in the first place. So Tom and I, we did a dumb thing. We decided to just um, road trip to Pocatello overnight. And so that we would be there early morning for everything. Well, we got there way too early, and not only that, but we were wigged out on caffeine, and neither of us were feeling too good when we got there, and so we actually had to wait to get into our room, to get credentialed, and to get and all that stuff. And so I'm a little weird, you know. I'd already seen some. I had already caught some meeting. I was about to go to the state executive committee meeting. That's usually right before a convention that they usually just have on site somewhere. And I was just not having it with the shirt and tie that I was wearing at the time. I had brought my Kellen Moore jersey, so I just threw on my Kellen Moore jersey and just went to go get credentialed, and that's where I took the photo, and then I put it immediately on all my socials saying, yeah, I just got credentialed for the convention in the Kellen Moore jersey. And then that kind of became a tradition both in 2020 and in 2022, where I have to wear the Kellen Moore jersey when I get my credential. I have to do that now. It's just tradition now. And given that this was in the middle of Holt Arena, because down on the convention floor, since none of the convention stuff had started yet, they were just giving people, they were giving people their credentials there on the convention floor. They had the room for it. It is literally used as a football stadium sometimes. So I'm doing that, and then I'm in the Kellen Moore jersey. I've got my credential, and then I have to immediately go on over to the state executive committee meeting. I need to find that and then sit down and be quiet. Well, this was also the year that Brock Fraser got elected to be Region 4 chair, and so he's going to be in that meeting. And so I'm, I say, hey, how you doing? Quick, hushed whisper tones, to people I'm greeting, and then I go sit, and that was the same year that I was elected Region 4 secretary, and so I was trying. So what the chairman, the state chair at the time, was doing is, okay, if you're new here, you have to either say a joke or sing a song or something or other. One of those kitschy kind of things that vapid business people do. So Brock had the opportunity to tag me in because I was ready to sing a song. I was ready to sing a song, and some of you know exactly what song I am ready to sing at all times in all situations. I will sing it at the drop of a hat if ever wanted or required. Brock ended up just telling a joke instead. But being in the Bennion room in Holt Arena wearing a Kellen Moore jersey, I would have absolutely sang the Boise State Fight song. I was ready to do it. And I will always be ready to sing that song. Didn't get to do it though, but that's one of the first meetings I had with this credential on, and a lot of good things happened with that. Another thing, because I had this on when this was going on at the time. Tom's car that he had at the time is one of those push button key fob things, types of, it's common in newer cars where you shouldn't be able to lock the car if the key fob for the thing is in the car. Well, apparently the battery drained for for his car, and so the fob was still in the was still in there, was still inside the car, so it was locked, and we couldn't do anything to get the car to unlock itself. And we had a bear of a time trying to figure that out because, we'd need to eventually leave Pocatello, and we'd need to eventually go drive a place and come back. But we eventually got things figured out with that, and we wouldn't have made it out of Pocatello though without the help of one Garrett Peterson. So yeah, there's a good convention memory there. I might elaborate on the locking the car thing at some future day. But yeah, that's a memory with this. Now, next up on the pile is actually a pair. It's actually a pair. You see, I'm going to explain. Here, I'm going to set this aside for a moment. I'm going to explain something. I've already told the story on this channel about the 2021 state meeting in Pocatello, where somebody tried to use an illegal proxy to edge me out. Victor Miller did, by the way. My chairman at the time, because I was vice chair of District 17, my chair of District 17 was one Dan Minert. Now, a couple of things about that situation with him is that he knew that I had business pass through 17, no less, to be directly handling at the state meetings in Pocatello that year. Okay, so he knew that. He knew that he was not going to be able to go. And the reason why I would know any of that, well, I'm not going to elaborate on. But, and I would find this out later, he knew, the third point, is that he knew that giving his proxy to a county chairman was going to be against the rules. But Victor told him to do it anyway. Victor Miller told him to do it anyway. So Victor Miller was holding a proxy he should not have been able to carry. Now, the only person that could have carried that particular proxy was campaigning in North Idaho at the time, even though he could have been present. Instead, he chose to campaign in North Idaho at the time for his failed run for governor, one Ed Humphreys. Ed Humphreys was the only dude that could have carried that proxy. Now, that proxy, for a couple of different reasons, is now immoral and illegal. But even if it was legal and everything was fine with it, I was still present. I was a vice chair, and this ended up being my credential after this situation got sorted out. But it still reads this way in the rules. In fact, I don't think we've actually changed that part, where a proxy is not necessary and is invalid if your vice chair comes up. The vice chair doesn't need a proxy at all. They just need to show up and register. And that's it. And I was there. I was registered. Took a little bit of correction to for certain people to get that going. But yeah, these badges belong together in the box because later, after in the middle of everything being sorted out, they handed this to me because, well, I was the acting chair of the time, as was my elected right to do. And so this became my credential, and I actually got to be on the state central committee for a meeting, and I took care of the oh yeah, this was the meeting where I got the trifecta. And so I had two resolutions and a rule. And one of those resolutions was the memorial resolution for one Rush Limbaugh, because Rush Limbaugh had just passed. So that, and then there was a couple rules that I had going on. I had hit the trifecta, as I was I was bragging about, on social media at the time. I think mostly on Twitter though, but yeah, and also the a rule having to do with requiring Republican affiliation for everything in those rules. You have to be any of the things stated in the rules. You need to be a Republican. You need to be registered a Republican. You need to be affiliated. And so that was my baby because while they written it in more cumbersome ways in different parts of the rules, my rule had consolidated it and made it more strong. And so all of my business on the first day wearing this was was successful. That was actually the first time that I'd had a straight flush like that. So after, so I was feeling pretty good about that, and then we get this all figured out. Then I'm in the general session the next day, and I even get to argue back and forth on some things because I actually had some knowledge about this, that, and the other, and all the things. And right after Mr. Pigface, one biddy, that's all folks, Dan Cravens, he had said something really, really wrong in debate, and then I got to spend the next 4 minutes saying all of the reasons why he was wrong. I loved that. That was a good that's a good credential memory, and on the way back was okay. And oh yeah, almost got in a horrible car crash and died on the way to do this stuff. But the thanks to the excellent driving of one Heather Rogers, I haven't heard from her much recently. I hope she's doing okay. But yeah, but thanks to the excellent driving, not a scratch on it, and nothing happened to our car. And I always love the road trips across southern Idaho because a lot of times we get to go to the Eden truck stop, the Traveler's Oasis truck stop. I love that truck stop, and that's another memory that I associate with these. I've got a bunch, with a lot of these badges and whatnot, I've got this little pin. I've seen this little pin everywhere, and I've discovered since that you can solder that pin onto PCBs, so I think I'm going to take out all the pins because I'm never going to be putting these badges on ever again. I'm going to take out these pins and maybe use them for certain things. But yeah, so those are the memories behind those. And so I got like one or two more here in the box. I think the last one I have, at least that I'm going to be showing. Let's see, do I have? Yeah. Okay. So the last one is my Twin Falls Convention credential. I've been recording for 30 minutes. Oh, that is interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, so my favorite part about this particular credential is not what's on the front, but what's on the back. But 2022 was the first year in which I was an Ada County delegate instead of a District 17 delegate. And this little dot right there means something. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about the the 2018 convention credential is that they introduced a system that I really wish that they would bring back, but they probably won't. Is the color of the lanyard. The color of the lanyard meant, had a particular meaning on what committee you were on, or if you were a chairman or of something, or and orange meant that you were on resolutions that year. So I wish they would bring that system back because that was a very good way of identifying people. It's like, oh, okay, that person has an orange lanyard on, and they were in the committee. They were in the resolutions committee yesterday. I'm gonna ask them what they felt about blah blah blah, etc. etc. Or if I think purple meant that you were a committee chair, and there are a few other. No, purple was platform that year, and so yeah, they had these different colors of lanyards. But anyway, so back to the 2022 convention, everyone just had this real stylish red lanyard though, and so I like that one. And yeah, I forget what that sticker means, but I think it was that I paid for the luncheon that year, which I did. Well, a little bit, but anyway. as the drama of that particular convention was unfolding, because there's always drama. There's always drama. Tom Luna, the convention going into the chairman going into the convention, rather. I've already elaborated on this in other videos, I believe, but he had not been a good chairman, and not only that, and on top of that, he used his position as representing the state party in between meetings to sue a county party. And not only did he do this, but he did this for really freaking dumb reasons. And so the resolutions meeting that year ended interesting in a related way. But most of the convention did not want Tom Luna around, and nearly all of them were pissed about this. They were really pissed about the convention, the lawsuit against Bonneville County. Yeah, it was Bonneville County. The suit didn't actually have a whole lot of merit to it. It was the reason why it was even brought at all was for really dumb and bad reasons, evil reasons. And Tom Luna was trying to make it look like he was doing a lot for the party while doing very little. I mean, in fact, and case in point, what probably drove the nail in the coffin, right before everybody started voting for chair, because the chairman election happened right after this. There was a problem with the luncheon that was paid for with a lot of people. The food wasn't coming out quickly enough, and there were a lot of people in line, and then eventually there were a lot of people in line that were getting very angry about it. Now, what does that have to do with Tom Luna? Well, Tom Luna was eating his food up on the stage because he was served first. Now, if you know anything about leadership, you know that there's a few things wrong with this. The first being that why the hell did he serve himself first when there was limited supply? And two, why the hell didn't he get up and try to do something about the current situation? He didn't lift a finger. He just stared at the line. He didn't do anything. He didn't even say anything. He was just up on the stage for the thing, and then just slowly eating his food, staring at it. And nearly everyone who went to that luncheon saw this, and most of the people going to this thing are, of course, voting delegates. How many people in that room voted for him? I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet none at all. I'm willing to bet that. Also, funny thing about getting a credential, and yes, this euro is also in the Kellen Moore jersey. Do I have any other? No, I don't. Okay, so I'm going to turn this little light off. Okay, so yes, I did get I did get given this credential in Kellen Moore jersey right there in the building in CSI campus, the College of Southern Idaho. That's where the convention. But while I was in that area, a little bit of an infamous thing happened with a man named Steve Millington. Now, that is one of the names that belong along the in the same conversation as people like Tom Luna, Trent Clark, Dan Cravens, etc. Now, this man, at least was at the time, I might still be for all I know, this man, he's the chair of the Twin Falls County Republicans. So we are in Twin Falls. We are in his home territory. And necessarily he would have had quite a bit to do with the preparations of the convention. And that means that he would have been fairly familiar with the rules, including the changes since the previous convention, where an interesting rule was passed. And I'll get to the nature of that in a moment. So there was a lot of reason why the following situation should not have happened. a lot of the times when you run a lot of the pre-convention stuff, um, you know, you need a lot of volunteers, and a lot of new young volunteers are usually the people that are filling for a lot of things like looking at people's IDs and verifying that they are a delegate for the convention, or if they're just getting a guest badge or something. So I don't remember the young lady's name, but a lot of people did come to know it later on, as you'll see in a bit. And while I am in this area, I think I'm talking to Steve Bender at that particular moment. I think, but see this Steve Millington character come along, and by this point, I definitely knew who he was. He shows up to get his credential because he's very likely also a delegate. He begins to curse out and yell at this poor young teenager, this young lady, this teenage girl, over the requirement for her to produce an ID. Because at the previous convention, we had changed the rules saying, hey, yes, you must have an acceptable form of ID to identify yourself at the convention, to get credentialed and all that. You need proper ID. And so that's not even a rule that she could ignore if she wanted to. And that's why Steve Millington should have known better. Now, also, just before this, and I wasn't in the parking lot for this, but multiple people have confirmed this since. The dude drove to CSI from his home by presumably the whole way by himself, and was seen getting out of his car in that parking lot by himself. So he was driving. Now, in the state of Idaho, you always have to have your driver's license on you when you operate a car like that. So the man definitely had, or at least should have had, but probably did have, his driver's license on him, which would have been, but it would have definitely been acceptable ID. That was the usual form of ID people produced when getting their credentials. It was their driver's license. Now, this man is a Republican, so presumably he believes in election integrity. And not only does he believe in election integrity, but he believes in, at least should believe in having a proper ID for this kind of thing. And not only that, but I think he was definitely there at the 2020 convention where we made this rule. He was definitely aware. And since it's his home turf, he was involved in preparing for all of this, so he would have known anyway. And also, he does happen to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he's yelling at and cursing out a young woman for having to produce his ID, to show his ID so that he can get his credential badge. That's that's a rather negative memory that I have with that badge. But yeah, that's a story. So anyway, so I love how staying away from the establishment faction always seems to accidentally serve me well because of incidents like that where I'm glad I never associated with that prick. You know what I mean? So, there we are. That convention ended up, picking up Dorothy Moon too. So hey, we got it. So I'm going to re-record and upload the the video that I meant to be doing tonight. Those are all the the badge and credential memories that I have. talking about all of this, I think it's a little bit cathartic, so I'm feeling a little better now. Y'all don't necessarily need to worry about me, but I'm glad that certain people are texting me, making sure I'm okay. I'm actually quite touched how some people still care. That means a lot, actually. I'm really gratified by that. Um, I'll be fine. And that was just a throwaway, well, not throwaway, but I guess easy to do video that I've been rolling around in the back of my head and in my notes for a little while now. And soon enough, I'm gonna have another credential and probably some more memories to go along with that. But yeah, it's in my box there, just right there, and I'll have to eventually I have to get another box. And some of those credentials are a little bit too wide for it anyway. Of course I make do, but maybe I need another little box. I'll have something interesting. I'll have something interesting for a box. But there's that video, and I'll be doing the expected video soon. Uh, some of the notes I've received today are pretty gratifying. I thank you for them. It warmed my heart a little bit, and it made my sucky day suck less. I'll have more material later, and I thank you all, and I wish you all well. You have a good one. Blessings.